A 2014 Wall Street Journal article states that nearly 1 in 3 American adults has a file in the FBI's Master Criminal Database. Criminal history records abound in the U.S., and they encompass all types of crimes, from misdemeanors to felonies, and even arrests without convictions. Many employers conduct criminal history background checks to protect their organizations and stakeholders. But to conduct an effective background check, you must first understand the limitations of criminal history records and the nuances of the background checking process. Criminal history background checks identify people who have been arrested or convicted for committing a crime. Background checks even identify people who are arrested for committing a crime but who were never convicted or found guilty. Background checks cannot identify people who were never caught after committing a crime or people who are inclined to commit crimes in the future. So why should nonprofit leaders conduct background checks on prospective employees and volunteers? How can background checks help with screening if 1 in 3 American adults have some kind of criminal record? Well, criminal history background checks are an important part of a comprehensive screening program. Background checks are most effective when coupled with other screening methods like employment and volunteer applications, reference checks, and interviews. Screening employees and volunteers is part of your duty of care. The duty of care is your obligation to exercise due care when designing programs and activities in order to prevent foreseeable harm to your service recipients, clients, employees, volunteers, and the general public. So when and how should nonprofit leaders conduct background checks? First, consider the risks related to the specific employee or volunteer positions. An applicant may need to complete a background check depending on the daily responsibilities of the position and who the applicant will interact with while working. Here's an example. A local food bank has 2 types of volunteers. Volunteer A packs food into boxes. This person does not interact with members of the public. Volunteer B helps distribute food and interacts directly with community members, including families and young children. The food bank can only afford to conduct background checks for some volunteers, so which volunteers should be asked to complete a background check? Volunteer A, the food packer, may present only a low risk to the organization since she has limited duties and she does not interact with the public. The food bank might forego a background check for Volunteer A in favor of less costly screening options such as a volunteer application and on-site training. But Volunteer B, the food distributor, interacts with community members, including vulnerable children. The food bank must take special steps to ensure the safety of children, so Volunteer B may be required to complete a criminal history background check. Remember, before you hire an employee or accept a new volunteer, think about what background checks can identify and choose to conduct background checks based on the risks associated with the job.